All right. Happy Friday, good people. Happy Friday, and welcome to a special edition of Grace and Gossip. I am Crystal XO, your Grace and Gossip host, and usually Grace and Gossip is on Mondays, but unfortunately, we have to gather here tonight because of some ridiculousness happening in Potomac. If you guys watch this channel, you know that for a long time I wrote for Collider in addition to Lennox and Parker, and I did a lot of writing about Real Housewives, specifically Real Housewives of Atlanta and also Real Housewives of Potomac. And unless you've been under a rock today, you are aware of the recent allegation, actually not even allegations, there was an arrest made to the most unlikely candidate from Real Housewives of Potomac, Dr. Wendy Osefo and her husband, Eddie Osefo, also known as Happy Eddie, as the Reality Rundown shares. And shouts out to the Reality Rundown for having on the spot information all day long today on this case. So the mighty have fallen. One of the most celebrated, prestigious, educated symbols, I guess, in the reality sphere, specifically on Housewives. Wendy and her husband were arrested. Deputies searched the home and found a bunch of items. We're going to get into the allegations, but the charges are 7 counts of insurance fraud, 8 counts of conspiracy to commit fraud, and 1 count of false statement to the police. So let's go back a little bit. Initially, there was reports that came out that when I first saw this morning, I woke up and I had an event to go to. Ironically, I went to an event with the Real Housewives of Atlanta. And I saw that Wendy's husband, Eddie, as I said, also known as Happy Eddie, was being indicted on fraud. So that's the first thing that I saw. So I was like, oh my goodness, Eddie has had some bad dealings and is bringing our girl down, right? That was the first thing I thought, because Wendy presents this from the time she was introduced on Potomac. She's had this holier than thou, I'm a doctor, kiss my feet type, I'm better than the rest of the ladies on the show air about her. Now, I actually, when she first came on and people were giving her a hard time because she kept throwing the doctor title around, I felt like maybe she was feeling a little out of place. And so I felt like, she deserves some grace. You guys know this is Grace and Gossip. We believe in grace. So I was like, she needs some grace. She probably is a little out of sorts with the reality girls, because I'm thinking to myself, Wendy has real life, accolades. She's not like a lot of these other ladies that don't have, that have kind of gotten by based on who they're married to, i.e. Real Housewives. But she's actually someone that's worked really hard. I want to make sure before we get into the charges that we do acknowledge Wendy's background, because I think that's a big part of why I feel like this is so sad. Wendy Osefo is a Nigerian American political commentator, public affairs, academic, and television personality. She was on CNN. She was a contributor for The Hill, the founder and chief executive officer at 1954 Equity, a former assistant professor at the Johns Hopkins School of Education. Huge, huge deal. In 2014, she served as inaugural director of the Master of Arts program at Goucher College, former board member for the late Congressman Elijah Cummings, Youth to Israel program, Children's Scholarship Fund, Baltimore, the Education Foundation of Baltimore County Schools. Just unbelievable accolades. Yeah, and I hear you, Marriott. Shocking, but almost not really. I feel like I was shocked this morning, as I read the things that we're going to get into in a minute. I just want to go through a few more accolades just so that we understand who this is. 2017, she was named one of 12 Pan-African women to watch by Face to Face Africa, received the 2017 Outstanding Graduate Award from Johns Hopkins University, her alma mater. She received the Distinguished Recent Alumni Award from Johns Hopkins in 2017. She received the Diversity Recognition Award. She was named 40 under 40 by 40 under 40 class in 2017 by the Baltimore Business Journal. The Baltimore Sun named her as 25 Women to Watch. Just numerous accolades that really spoke to her brilliance. Seen often on CNN talking about politics, specifically a few years, before she got on the show. You could see she was there doing that a lot more often. Ironically, when she joined the show, and they've already got her, Lord Jesus, at the end of that was her Wikipedia bio, and at the end of that, they've already updated it with today's news. It says Osefo and her husband were arrested on October 10th and charged with 16 counts of insurance fraud, charges stemming from a 2024 home burglary, which the Osefos reportedly sought to take advantage of by falsely claiming to insure additional theft of more luxury property items of theirs. And initially it said in excess of $300, but then the final numbers came down. They were over $400,000 claim. So what happened is we realized as the day went on that the charges were not solely Eddie's, and they were not from fraud, like from a business. It actually was from an insurance claim that they filed last year. They claimed that their house had been broken into, and I'm just kind of paraphrasing, but they claimed their house had been broken into, and they filed several insurance claims on their items that were allegedly stolen in the house. Now, the problem with that is one of the many problems was that there were no cameras, so there was no one was able to see anything, and so they had no proof. So the insurance company, as insurance companies do, became very skeptical. So let me just kind of go through. Oh my goodness, there was a press conference today. You guys, this has been really bad. It's just I am still shocked that someone that last season, I do want to say this. I wanted to start by saying, before I get into all of this, these indictments and this evidence that the state has, I remember last year, you guys, I don't know if you remember, but I did this. I did a few Grace and Gossip conversations about Real Housewives of Potomac, and I did this article on Wendy, saying that Wendy, see, this is almost a year ago today. This was October 17th, 2024. Oh my gosh. That's crazy. I literally was so concerned about what I was watching when I saw that, when I saw how she was behaving. So I'm going to read you guys just a little bit from this article. I said, Wendy Osefo joined the Real Housewives of Potomac in 2020 as one of the most celebrated housewives to ever join the reality franchise. An award-winning researcher, political commentator, and professor at Johns Hopkins, Dr. Wendy Osefo, PhD, was the first Black woman to earn a PhD in public affairs and community development from Rutgers University, Camden. Her hard work paid off in dividends, earning her several positions in academia and politics, but it made her stick out like a sore thumb against her more glamorous cast members. Wendy responded to being a fish out of water by throwing her educational accolades around in an attempt to intimidate the others and possibly overcompensate for feeling out of place with the other ladies. So I remember thinking that, like I said, when I first saw her join the cast and we saw her throwing her, just almost trying to belittle some of the other ladies on the show, I thought, well, you know what? She probably feels out of place. She probably can't fight, with the same weaponry that they use. And so she's going to use her brilliance, right? And so I feel like she was just trying to stay afloat, with Giselle and Ashley and Karen and all the women that are on that show. But I also noticed that her mom, who is a Nigerian mother, Wendy talked extensively about the relationship that was, I don't want to say dysfunctional, but definitely had a lot of issues, with the relationship with her mother. She actually wrote a book about it, about how much pressure she felt as a Nigerian daughter, growing up in a home where she was expected to perform and competitively and without error. So I said in this article, I talked a little bit about Wendy visibly struggling to live up to her mother's expectations as a political correspondent and professor. And she also shared being overwhelmed with her husband, but she tried to always kind of keep up this appearance of being perfect regardless. And so in one of the scenes that happened last year, or last season, it's almost like she was having a panic attack, a breakdown. And I thought, you guys know, well, those of you that are members of this channel know that I have a book titled Dear Alpha Female. It's not him, it's you. And in that book, I talk a lot about overachieving women and how that can become, a lot of times we put pressure on ourselves to be perfect, right? And to not, this whole idea of the cape on the Black woman is very real. And I felt empathy for Wendy because I feel like she was trying to live up to this standard of being at 100% in all areas: mother, doctor, professor, wife, and then beautiful, reality star. It was a different world for her. And at first she didn't really fit in. And then we saw that she started making some changes. And I say, whether it was the response from her castmates or the public, because we know the public can be very rude to Black women, she underwent cosmetic surgery, which was the first of many changes, as Wendy reappeared with a fabulous boob job, along with a few nips and tucks to accommodate her new bust line. Eager for feedback on her new look, Wendy's wardrobe went through a dramatic change to show off her new curves. In several scenes, the other ladies were noticeably shocked at Wendy's wardrobe choices, and a lot of them made tongue-in-cheek comments. But it just was kind of shocking for a viewer to see this woman who came in, touting her academic degrees and her awards. And then, later we see her, that same woman who, before wanted everyone to kind of kiss the ring because she was this accomplished professor, now just wants to be seen as like, the fun girl, getting drunk and making passes and asking Mia, does she want to, making like little lesbian passes. I mean, it was just very bizarre. And I just felt like she was having like a midlife crisis. I said that she always really seemed out of place. And not that she looked out of place, because I think she's a beautiful woman. But I think that if you watch the show and you see that she's trying hard all the time, she's trying hard to come off like she fits in, like she doesn't believe she fits in more than other people, right? So she started Wendy was a political commentator, teaching and doing all these things, had a book out, and she, the inaugural director of the Masters of Arts in Management program at Goucher College and contributor to The Hill, started a 2-wick candle line to compete with Karen Huger, and decided she was going to become a talk show host to compete with castmates Giselle Bryant and Robin Dixon's Reasonably Shady podcast. At the end of season 7, Wendy had a suggestive, flirtatious moment with Mia, convincing audiences that she was open to taking a dip in the proverbial lady pond. Very strange. It just started to become really, really weird to me, because she started trying to dumb herself down and kind of come off like Ashley or, one of these other housewives that is not necessarily known for their wit. They're known more for their sexuality, or their beauty. And I do think I do want to say, I think it's unfair that women have to be known for either or. I think you can be for both, but it just felt like Wendy was trying so hard. It felt like she had tried really diligently in the academic field, and now she was trying really diligently to be the best and to shine the brightest in this new reality landscape. If you guys remember, there's another Nigerian intellectual beauty that was brought on the show, Nneka. Him and Wendy's overt dislike for Nneka and refusal to embrace her without a substantial reason exposed a really big lack of self-confidence, I believe. Wendy's relationship with her mother was a point of anxiety for her. She acknowledged her mother's cultural expectations were rooted in academic accomplishments and success. Wendy was quick to voice her pedigree and multiple accolades. Most of the motivation behind it seemed connected to her mother's wishes and not her own. In season 9 premiere, which is last season, Wendy announced she was giving up her professorship to focus on other things. Now, that's where things start to go wrong. If you guys watch the show, you know that she really started to become a lot more flashy. It's almost like she studied. Yes, I have to give an autobiography because I want people to know exactly where this comes from. I don't think it, and I'm not trying to like lean into the gossip. I mean, it is good gossip, but I do want to acknowledge that this is like an issue because she believed that being a reality star and being popular was worth way more than all that she had accomplished with, you know, all her life. She was really like, she really was ready to risk it all, as they would say. She was ready to risk, actually, she did risk it all. Her and her husband risked it all. And it's crazy because they knew, I can't imagine how they would not know. They would not know about the way they were lying to the cops and to their insurance companies. I didn't expect them to make these type of very immature and elementary mistakes. But what it says to me is that they kind of felt like they were bigger than the system. And I think they were kind of feeling themselves. So they filed 3 insurance claims for the same incident. 3 different insurance companies they filed for the same incident. And they're allegedly, now all this is allegedly, though that is fact, that is out, that is in the indictment. But allegedly, prosecutors are saying that they were in debt, in substantial debt, and in order to get themselves back on solid footing, they decided to do this insurance heist, which is crazy. So I want to get into some of the specifics. The total on their insurance policy claim, they were trying to get it to $423,000, which was the total price that they would have been able to receive, right? And that is a lot of money. It's almost $500,000. Definitely passes the felony definition, the definition of a felony. But one of the things that tipped their insurance company off, and I'm not sure how more information is coming out, but there was a public press conference today where they shared a lot of this information. And so they said that Eddie emailed Wendy. This is what I was just like, how in the world? Eddie is a lawyer. I don't know that he has clients, and I'm a little hesitant to think that he does have clients, simply because on the show, the season premiere that came out, I think the Sunday before last or last Sunday, he is focused on his Happy Eddie brand. And I was just like, it's just so weird to me. You know, I've been around a lot of reality stars and just, you know, entertainers, period. But why would you give up something that is a career that is guaranteed, right, for something that is potential? And I get it. Everybody needs to chase their dreams. And maybe he wanted to always have a Happy Eddie brand. I don't know. But for him to be that focused on it, I was just like, what's going on with his, like, what does he do? What is he doing? But I just felt like his energy in that first episode felt like he was going to be around a lot more. So in the documents that were filed by the court, and I have those as well, Eddie asked Wendy if they could add more high value items like Chanel shoes to reach their maximum insurance policy of $423,000. So they were trying to get as much as possible. Detectives, this is all according to the Reality Rundown. Detectives dug into their store and refund records, because you guys know when you file for insurance claim, you have to have a receipt. So they were able to find, they did have receipts, but they also realized that they had returned these items. So they still have the receipt, but they didn't show the return receipt. So there was a Dior shirt at $1,450 listed as stolen, and it had been returned months before. A Gucci wallet around $1,000 had been returned for a full refund. So it's almost like, it's like scamming, like one of those crime shows on BET Plus with the queen pins, like the whole scam where people buy stuff and then take it back, get the money, and then they start running it. This is crazy. Investigators say more than 20,000 in stolen items had been refunded before the burglary ever happened. So they had gotten things and taken them back, and then saved those receipts and used those receipts in the insurance claim. Allegedly, this is all in the court documents. They have not been convicted. They have not been to court. They did get arrested. We did see their mugshot. The mugshot is here, which looks crazy. Actually, it doesn't even look that crazy. It's just Wendy without makeup, with a lace front, without soft lighting. That is what that was. And that bail set at $50,000. They knew that them people were going to put that bail down before, before anything happened. The investigators allege that they found photos of Wendy wearing the same diamond ring that she reported as stolen. So obviously there's some things that they took back, and then some things that they kept and said were stolen. The ring matched appraisal photos from before the incident. Court documents say the couple filed 3 separate insurance claims for the same burglary. I don't think that's legal. Actually, I listened earlier to Carlos King's live take on that, and he had Tierney Gundy, who was a judge here in Atlanta, and she actually said that that was not in alignment with the law. She said to make sure that we remember all this is alleged, but that was not in alignment with the law to file separate insurance claims on one, RHOP burglary. So they filed with Travelers Insurance, and they received $25,000 from Travelers Insurance. They filed with Homesite Insurance, and they claimed $450,000 in losses on that claim. I'm not sure how much they received from that one. And then Jewelers Mutual, which I guess was the jewelry, they reported 57 stolen items. They allegedly never told each company the other was already paying out. Now, they went on to share that the scene when they claimed that they were on vacation and that their home had been burglarized. As I said earlier, there were no cameras, which is hard to believe. Specifically being reality stars, and Wendy, has been on the show for quite a while, so she's definitely, and she's also she was a political analyst. She was on CNN. I would definitely think that they would have cameras on their home. The deputies at the scene said that the alleged entry window was unlocked, and there was no signs of forced entry. Their ADT alarm and Ring camera were active, yet no motion was ever detected. And the house looked untouched except for a few messy drawers. And they claim that this happened while they were vacationing in Jamaica. They claimed that their bedroom had been ransacked and designer bags and jewelry were taken, including Wendy's diamond anniversary ring, which she allegedly was photographed wearing after this happened. And that's the thing. I just can't imagine that Wendy would not be that sharp. And this is what I think. Okay. I told you guys, I put this article up last year, almost a year to the T. Actually, it is 1 week less than a year I wrote that article. I think I'm kind of I kind of foreshadowed this. But this, to me, I feel like she was unraveling. I feel like she was trying so hard to, I think she always wanted to be the pretty girl. She always wanted to be the girl that, was known for her looks and how sexy she was, and not, her brain. And I feel like she started feeling herself and getting kind of like almost like drunk with power, because she started, she does look a lot different. If you look at early video when she first joined, early episodes of Real Housewives when she first joined in 2020, she looks very different, right? Most housewives do when they join, they look very different later. But Wendy, I guess because she came so accomplished, it was just surprising to see her make such huge changes so quickly, specifically with the plastic surgery and trying to dress more sexy and be more provocative. I think she got caught up and was trying to be something that does not exist. It seems like reality stars are promoting a lifestyle that no one could actually maintain. That's what it seems like to me, because I look around, like you look at Karen Hoover is in prison, right? and it's crazy because they just had Wendy do a interview, and she talked about, Karen deserved to come back and all that. I have no idea how long if she knew. I mean, this coming out a week after the premiere of Real Housewives of Potomac season 10 it's great for ratings. I know Andy Cohen is somewhere like laughing with glee because this franchise continues to be one of the most contentious yet, culturally relevant series ever, because these women are, you take a woman who you think, okay, well, Tammy said IG models. IG models are, well, when IG models first started, most of them were young, and but this is a woman in her 40s. Karen Hoover is in her 60s. Like, what is happening? And you look at someone like a Portia, who just came out and said that she's dating a man and a woman now. No shade, nothing's wrong with that, but it feels very performative for a storyline. It feels very much like the pressure to be relevant and the pressure to appear like you have everything and everything is given to you and you don't have any struggles is beyond what is rational. It's delusional, right? Because what I'm seeing is that even people that have a lot of money are still not able to live up to the standards that they're setting for themselves to jump through. Like, they want to be wearing $1,500 shirts every day. And even if you get, say Wendy got 100,000 episode, right? 16 episodes, that's over $1 million, right? But once you tax that, right? And you pay for home expenses, because you've got to have this fabulous home in order to live up to this idea of what people expect from you. And then you have to have this car, and then you have to have these clothes constantly. You can't ever be seen out not, looking like you just spent $20,000 on your wardrobe, or less $10,000 on your wardrobe. You got to have the latest bag. You got to have the latest shoes. You got to have the latest car. You got to have your children in the latest things. Even that $1 million gets sucked up really, really quickly. Like, money is not, even people that have it. I mean, 100,000 an episode. And I don't know if that's what she makes, but I'm just saying, let's just say that she did. It's still $1 million. Once you tax it, you're working at, I'll say 500, we'll say 600,000. Once you pay for all of that, you cannot continue to buy at the level that is just unlimited. Eventually the money is going to run out, or you're going to start to rob Peter to pay Paul. And we all know what happens when that starts. Eventually, both the Negroes show up broke and want their money, right? So it is just sad to me, because I expect, and I guess I shouldn't say that. I want to give Wendy grace. Like, it's sad that someone that has so much going for them would be willing to throw it all away to look like a reality star, right? I feel like she's the real deal, or she was, right? And she did not appreciate herself as she was. She was more impressed with the fake-ish than the real-ish. And she was already the real thing. But I think so many of us, maybe that's the thing now. Maybe social media and where we are as a country has made us all appreciate things that are fake more than things that are real. Because when I look at Karen, I look at Ashley, being in a marriage that she was not happy in for so long just to make sure that her money was right. Like, it is just really sad. And I think that so many people want to be on these shows. Like, I was at an event today, like I said, with the Real Housewives, and Pinky Cole is one of the newest housewives. We already talked about that on Grace and Gossip before. And I'm looking at everybody and I'm like, when you ask for something and then you get it, I think a lot of times people don't know what that means. And then they got caught up, because I definitely think Wendy, when she first got on this show, maybe she looked like she had her stuff together and she mentally did not, because she obviously got caught up in trying to impress an audience that really doesn't care about anything that's real. I remember wondering, why is she giving up her professorship? Why is she catering to having her titties out, all the time and doing all this? So why is she not leaning into all the things that she has already going on? Artificial turf, absolutely. And just to see the way this is played out, I think is sad. I remember I interviewed Gloria Govan for Rolling Out years ago, and she was talking about how so many reality stars are renting clothes. I know a lot of them get clothes from people, like boutiques or something would give them clothes and they wouldn't pay their bills. That's all very common knowledge. That the level of fakeness to keep up with something that nobody is able to actually attain is just kind of sad. It's kind of sad. I don't know what's going to happen we don't know. This is all unfolding. And again, like I mentioned, Tierney Gundy, shouts out to Judge Tierney. She said, please make sure that you remember that all this is alleged until proven. But it just seems like there's a lot of evidence that proves that something was wrong. I don't know how they would get out of this. And we definitely don't want to, say that they're guilty, but something is not, something in the mail can't clean. I look at, like, even I did a couple of articles on Chrisley, the Chrisleys, and the same thing. They were on reality TV and were making good money, right? And then they actually ended up doing fraud to continue to keep up the lifestyle, because they couldn't keep up the lifestyle just on the money that they were making. Even with all the things that they had going on, it still was not enough, because when you're on TV, you want to be able to stunt. I heard, I don't know if this is true, but I did read a few weeks ago that after one season on Real Housewives of Atlanta, that Shamia and her husband were going through some financial issues. It is just unbelievable. And the rest of us that are watching, we're trying to do this on our own level. I remember being a celebrity publicist. I would be around people that have a lot, and you have to know, like, first of all, you have to know who you are. And then I think you just have to have people around you to keep you grounded. I think that's what's really important, is to have friends that'll be like, girl, but I have a friend that is a celebrity, that is a, multimillionaire. I'm not that. So I'm like, girl, I can't hang out with you all day. I gotta go. I gotta work. I can't just hang out with you and go shopping all day, because that's not what my bank account is set up. Like, there was this joke that Kevin Hart did. He was like, well, the way my bank account is set up with my banking and my checking were not conducive to what my friends were, So I don't know, Tammy, if that turned out to be false, but what I do know is that Portia, being married and trying to, because you want to shoot in this multi-million-dollar house, and then, going to these great lengths all these people are trying to live up to a standard that does not exist. And it's sad that even the people, I this may sound shady, but like Portia, I don't really get upset with, because I kind of, okay, she's trying to find a rich husband because that's her way, right? That's what she's going to be able to do. But Wendy, Wendy, you have a whole PhD. You have a brilliant mind. Like, why are you chasing the girls that, she's trying to compete with Ashley Darby, who was a beauty queen and a bottle girl? What is happening? What is happening where the women that actually have substance are disgusted by their substance and want to trade it in for titties and papa titty and ass? Like, I don't get it. But no, it will not be the last one, Angela. It actually, the housewives are crazy. Karen is in prison right now. Wendy could be going. It's just crazy because if somebody said who would go next, I would not have thought it would be Wendy. Teresa Giudice went, Jen Shaw went, and Real Housewives of Salt Lake City went for fraud. Same thing. Trying to live up to a lifestyle that just does not exist. I have a stylist. I have wardrobe people with me all the time. I'm getting fashions off the runway in Paris. Who can do that? Marlo was doing that, and people are like, "How is she getting her money?" It just is too much. But it's unfortunate to me that this happened with Wendy, because she was an example of something different, and not. Casey says Karen got out about a week ago. I bet Karen is looking around like, wow. Can you guys imagine what her castmates were thinking when they saw this information? Because I know what I was thinking when I saw it. What, Wendy? For shame. For shame. For shame. I could not believe it. Not Miss Perfect. But I think that's the point. It's like, nobody is perfect. Nobody is perfect. And if we have never learned that lesson before, we have definitely learned it now. I think before the plastic surgery and before, all the mentions of, and there's nothing wrong with having fun with your friends, but I do feel like Wendy dumbed herself down for this show. I feel like her conversations got a lot less intelligent, and she started trying to play like a ditz. Yes, Robin Dixon is on the couch screaming, as she should be. And I would also say, I will just say this, because I'm about to jump off, because we know it's Friday and we do our Ready to Love and we got a great show. But Potomac is probably the fakest of the Housewives franchise. The women on this show do not tell the truth they will never. Like Atlanta, you got to give it to Atlanta. Atlanta will do some crazy things, but eventually they'll just be like, okay, girl, I lied. For example, Phaedra, like, okay, girl, I'm sorry, I lied. Just cop to it, right? Last night, or not last night, but Sunday, we watched Stacey remain committed to a lie that made no sense at all. She is committed to a lie about a man that has told people and is suing her, saying that they acted like they were going to be on the show together. Unbelievable. Stacey is unhinged. And it's like, we know she's lying. Giselle never told the truth about her relationship, ever. She never was honest. Robin never was honest. Karen, up until the moment that she went behind bars, and probably will still, I predict that Karen will come back on the show and still allege that she was dealt a bad hand. She will not take accountability. This show, Potomac, is the fakest, the most wannabe bougie, because at first I thought they really were like upper crust, like, that old money. There is nothing old about this money. There is nothing old about this money. Mia, they got rid of Mia because her lies were just so reckless. Like, they're lying about money and am I cheating on my husband? Wendy was lying about, like, who's the father of my child? Like, Wendy was on a whole nother level. They weren't ready for Wendy. Wendy was on a whole nother level. She did not fit on that show. Me and my friend have threesomes with my husband. No, we don't. Yes, we do. We shower together. No, we don't. Like, it just, Wendy's lies were told, didn't belong on this show. But hey, Wendy ain't going to jail. Wendy is probably, I mean, Mia, I meant Mia. Mia is probably somewhere cackling so loud. Now, if she is, I don't think she should cackle that loud because she is allegedly dating Bobby Valentino. So she probably would want to keep the laughter down. But I'm sure this was great for her. She has got to be like, yes, because Wendy was so mean to her. And at first, just condescending. But how can you be condescending when you and your husband are plotting stupid insurance heists? I like calling it a heist. It's funny. It is hilarious. Well, you guys, let me know what you think. If you're watching this, let me know what you think about Wendy's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde switch. Do you think that Wendy came on the show and turned because she didn't feel like she fit in? Do you think this is who she always was? I did another article that said Karen Huger and Wendy Osefo's friendship was born out of desperation. And I think that Wendy was just trying. It's just further proves my point of Wendy constantly trying. She was trying so hard to fit in and to prove that she was that chick. And she never had to do that. She was already that chick. You know what I mean? She just didn't know it. And that's sad. But anyway, I wish she would have been a little smarter with the insurance heist, though. 3 different companies and you still wearing the ring, girl, trade that ring in and get a different one. What is happening? But I think people start to get so hot, they start to get drunk on their own importance, right? And they start thinking that nothing can catch them because they've probably done a lot of stuff like this before and it didn't catch up to them. Like, this is probably at the end of them doing this quite a bit. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Share this and just put your thoughts in the chat and let me know. Do you think Wendy was like that? Is Wendy gonna go to jail? I don't know. Karen did. Karen did for 4 DUIs. So Wendy did 16 counts of alleged insurance fraud. Child, I'll see y'all back here on Monday. But yeah, if you're watching right now, just check in. 2 and 2 will be right back with Ready to Love, the upcoming season. Scorpio, Mo, and I are going to go through it. Ready to Love Detroit. Stay right here. Be right back.